All right, we got 12 games tomorrow. Thursdays are usually kind of a busy day. It would be nice to do videos that aren't just the preview, so I'm going to do the preview tonight. And as you guys can see, I've opted for kind of some mood lighting rather than having all the lights way up top and beaming down on me and shining off the board. Dropped them down. I'm likely going to change out the lighting at some point. Part of getting myself acclimated to the new setup is coming up with new ways of doing things. And there's a lot of ideas Yvonne and I have for improving the experience people will have watching the videos, which includes changing up the lighting, changing up some of the presentation, changing up a lot of things. So my wife may have very limited appearances on here, but she does take a lot of pressure off of me, and she does a lot of work behind the scenes. So great thanks to her. And that being said, let's move into the first game of tomorrow night, which is Boston in against New Jersey. I'm half tempted to put an Akbar magnet on there because Boston, it feels like they're kind of getting it back together. I don't want it to go to their heads at all, but it's New Jersey at the same time, and Jersey seems to be kind of bottoming out, understanding that they have a roster that's just been so injury ravaged over the last month. And it all started with Taylor Hall being out, and even before Taylor Hall was out, the record wasn't great. So 44-20-9 is Boston's record, 27-38-9 is the record for the New Jersey Devils. On the road, Boston's 16-13-6. At home, the New Jersey Devils are 17-13-6. So New Jersey's home record is one win better than Boston's road record. In the month of March, Boston's 6-3. Whereas New Jersey's 2-7-1. So New Jersey has definitely been on the downward swing. Looking at their scoring over the last 10 games, Bergeron 7 goals, 4 assists for Boston. Pastrnak, the last 10 games he's played, 4 goals and 7 assists. DeBrusk 3 goals, 2 assists. Charlie Coyle, a goal and an assist. I keep waiting for that secondary scoring. Not trying to be sarcastic either. He's been getting better over the last couple of games, and it feels like it's starting to come together for him. Achari, 2 goals, 2 assists. McAvoy with a goal and 5 assists. And Moore with a goal and an assist. I still don't see Torrey Krug in their lineup and anything about him coming back yet. And they'll miss his offense on the blue line. On the New Jersey side, Zajac, 3 goals, 2 assists. Agostino, 3 goals and 4 assists. As I said, ever since New Jersey picked him up on waivers, he's been fantastic. Kevin Rooney with 3 goals and an assist. Coleman, 3 goals, 2 assists. Nason with a goal. Severson, 3 goals, 4 assists, and Connor Carrick with 3 assists for the New Jersey Devils. Goaltending-wise, no confirmation. I would not be surprised to see Rask, but since it's New Jersey, it'll likely be Halak because it feels like Rask is being handed back the starter's reins a little more often now that we're getting close to the playoffs. Halak's 2-1, I should say, with a .926 save percentage over their last 10. Rask is 5-2 with an .897 save percentage. On the New Jersey side, for New Jersey, I guess Schneider. Blackwood's 1-4 with an .882 save percentage over their last 10. Corey Schneider 1-3-1 with a .908 save percentage. Both teams have won a game in the matchup between these two this season, and we'll see if Boston can win the rubber match tomorrow night, their last meeting of the year. And this is a big game for Boston. Not because it means a whole lot in the standings, but the momentum's important for this team going into the playoffs. It feels like the Toronto-Boston thing is really ramping up night by night. They'll have seen what Toronto did tonight, and they'll be like, we don't have to worry about Toronto catching us. We go out tomorrow night, we get 6 points up on them again. That narrative kind of goes away till the next game, right? Okay, next up. Dallas at home against Colorado. So the Avalanche, desperate for playoffs, feeling like they're close, in against the Dallas Stars, who have to feel like they're close to third place and would likely prefer to play Nashville than Winnipeg, and it looks like Nashville likely finishes second. And that's no insult to Nashville. I think Nashville's a better matchup for Dallas than Winnipeg, just in general. 32-29-12 is the record for the Colorado Avalanche. Dallas is 38-29-6. On the road, Colorado 16-15-6, whereas at home Dallas is 22-13-3. Their home record is still what's holding them in the playoffs. In the month of March, Colorado's 4-5, whereas Dallas is 6-2-1. So again, for Colorado, they really need to win this tomorrow. If they lose this one, some things could happen ahead of them. And by the end of the night, we're talking about how Colorado's out of it. This time tomorrow night, maybe I'm like, well, Colorado's done. They had a good run. Now, scoring over their last 10 games, McKinnon, 5 goals, 6 assists. Rantanen, 5 goals, 2 assists. Jost with a goal and an assist. Andrighetto with a goal and 2 assists. Soderberg, 3 assists. Barry, 4 goals, 3 assists. Cole with a goal and 3 assists. And on the Dallas side of things, Tyler Seguin, goal and 10 assists for him. Radulov, 7 goals, 3 assists. Hintz, 5 goals and an assist. And this kid has been a revelation as a rookie over the last month. Ben, 6 goals, 4 assists. Como with 5 assists. Polak, 2 assists. And Klingberg, 3 goals and 6 assists on the blue line for Dallas over their last 10 games. Goaltenders, no confirmation because I'm recording this the night before. I would go with Grubauer if I was Colorado. Varlamov in their last 10 is 2-3 with a .900 save percentage. Grubauer's 3-2 with a .963 save percentage. That's fantastic. And when you're outside the playoffs, ride the hot hand. On the Dallas side of things, I expect Bishop. He's 6-0 in their last 10 with a .980 save percentage. Wow. Hudobin's 1-2-1 over their last 10 with a .932 save percentage. That pedestrian .932. I'm kidding. That's an excellent save percentage. It's just when you're playing behind Gibson, it's just insane. So I would expect, or not behind Gibson, behind Bishop. Got Anaheim on the brain? I don't know why I would have Anaheim on the brain. But yeah, so when you're playing behind Bishop, as Hudobin is, Hudobin, did he play behind Gibson? Was he the backup for Gibson the first year? I think he was. So I'm kind of time traveling on that reference. Colorado's won 2 out of 3 meetings between these teams this year. They're trying to make it 3 out of 4. And for Dallas, you can't afford to give Colorado a lot of hope. Not only that, but you don't want to leave yourself in a position where you're vulnerable to Arizona and maybe Colorado. And then we start talking about maybe Dallas isn't going to make the playoffs at all. I don't want to have that conversation this year. I've had that conversation enough over the last forever. Feels like forever. Next up, the Islanders in against the Montreal Canadiens. So the New York Islanders, 42-24-7. Well aware they're 3 points behind Washington tomorrow night. Have a chance to make up some ground, and they're again against the Montreal Canadiens, who are 38-28-7. And while Montreal's struggles over the month of March are well documented, I think they're in a position to even that record tomorrow night. But they're going to need to be very smart about this. The Islanders are back to playing their style of hockey, which is low scoring, very solid defense, and they're coming off of a game against Boston where that seemed to fall apart. So they're going to be looking to prove themselves tomorrow night in Montreal. So Montreal's going to want to get on the board early and give them some second thoughts. On the road, the Islanders are 20-12-3. At home, Montreal's 20-12-4. So both teams are excellent in this environment. In the month of March, the Islanders are now 5-5, and the Montreal Canadiens are 4-5. So both teams trying to avoid going below 500. Well, in the case of Montreal, trying to get back to 500. And in the case of the Islanders, not wanting to drop below 500 in March. You don't want to get cold in March because it can mean an early exit in April. On the scoring side of things over their last 10, Anders Lee with 5 goals. Barzal has 6 assists. Nelson, 2 goals, 2 assists. Beauvillier, 1 goal, 1 assist. Cizikas, a goal and an assist. Leddy, a goal, 3 assists. And Devon Taves, who's getting a ton of ice time, a lot of chances out there, a goal and 2 assists over their last 10 games. And it kind of feels like Taves is this kind of unknown weapon that they've unleashed this year. And I think better things are to come for this kid. Now on the Montreal side, Tatar, 1 goal, 4 assists. He's overdue for a breakout. Gallagher, 5 goals, 2 assists. Max Domi, 5 goals, 5 assists. Drouin, there's been a lot of talk about the slump he's in. Probably the worst of his career. 4 assists for him. And I have to wonder to myself, if he continues to slump, and especially if Montreal makes the playoffs, does that make Jonathan Drouin expendable? Does he then become a piece that Bergevin says, I can probably lose this guy and get something else back on the blue line? Which I know how that sounds because he traded Sergachev to get him, but could Montreal end up doing that? It's something to talk about in the offseason. Andrew Shaw, 4 goals, 4 assists. Weber, 3 goals, 3 assists. Christian Folan with 4 assists. I'm well aware that I just talked about it, and then I cut it off with it's something to talk about in the offseason. just because it's a debate that's better off talked about later. I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but I did. Goaltenders, I expect Greiss here. Greiss is 5-3 with a .931 save percentage over their last 10. Robin Lehner over that same period, 0-2 with an .844 save percentage. On the Montreal side, I expect Price because I always expect Carey Price. He's 5-4 over their last 10 with a .914 save percentage. And Antti Niemi's 0-1 with an .833 save percentage over that same period in time. I do not expect Niemi here. Both teams have won a game between these two. This is the third and final meeting of the year. Let's see who comes out on top. As I said, I'm kind of favoring Montreal in this one, but it should be a fun one to watch. Now, moving along. Tampa, 57, 13-4. They've won 57 games. Come on, this is just ridiculous. Okay, Tampa can't keep doing this all year. And the funny thing is, and I keep saying it, and people have started, kind of saying, yeah, no, that's true. They have to win the cup now. Tampa really, anything less than a Stanley Cup victory, and we're talking about this fantastic season that just went kerblooey. So hopefully Tampa's able to overcome that. I've always liked Tampa. I've not been hugely a fan of Tampa, but I respect the organization. I like the team. And they're not a team that I get overly mad at when they beat a team I cheer for. So that's kind of one of those things you look for, right? But they're 57, 13-4. Carolina's 40, 25-7. Can we see a surge against the Lightning tomorrow? On the road, Tampa's an impressive 26, 7-2. At home, Carolina's 20, 11-4. In the month of March, Tampa's 8-1. So when the games haven't mattered, they've still won 8 out of 9. In the month of March, Carolina's 6-2-1. Excellent record. Looks terrible next to Tampa's because everybody looks terrible next to Tampa. Scoring over the last 10 games, Stamkos now with 4 goals, 4 assists. Kucherov, only 7 goals and 8 assists. Johnson, 4 goals and an assist. Anthony Cirelli, 4 goals, 5 assists. Quietly having an excellent season. Ernie, 1 goal, 3 assists for him. Sergachev, a goal and 2 assists. And Chernak with 2 goals and 3 assists for the Tampa Bay Lightning. On the Carolina side of things, Niederreiter, 2 goals and 6 assists. Williams, 5 goals and an assist. Teravainen, 1 goal, 10 assists. Martinuk with a goal and 2 assists. McKegg has 2 goals. Hamilton, 3 goals, 5 assists. And Falk, 1 goal, 6 assists to round out the scoring for the Carolina Hurricanes. Goaltenders, I would think this will be a meeting of the big guys. And yet, since Vasi played tonight, is probably going to meet the bang. Vasi's now 7-1 in their last 10 with a .931 save percentage. Louis Dominguez 1-1 with a .908 save percentage. On the Carolina side of things, Peter Mrazek, I would expect here. He's 5-1 over their last 10 with a .941 save percentage. Curtis McElhinney is 2-1-1 with an .874 save percentage. Tampa has won both meetings this year. And again, Tampa doesn't have a mercy switch. They score 5 goals seemingly at will. Sometimes it's 6, might be 7. And for Carolina, they've got to make sure Tampa doesn't get on the board early. They've got to watch for these 3-4 goal waves that'll come where they score one, then another, and then another. And the next thing you know, you're like, wait, we were up 1-0. Now it's 3-1 for them. You've got to watch that because Tampa's very good at that. Tampa, the other thing that they have going for them, more than any other team in the league, and I include Calgary in this, they can sort of sleepwalk through parts of the game and have one really excellent period, and whether it's the second, the first, the third, it doesn't matter. They can ride that one excellent period right through to the end of the game. So Carolina really has to be vigilant for every period of the game, no matter the score. And I really think that's part of how they wear teams down. Next up, San Jose. The Sharks, who are 43-22-8, they're in against the LA Kings, who would love to see the season end tomorrow. They're 25-39-8, and this has to be a miserable season for Drew Doughty, Anze Kopitar, Ilya Kovalchuk, Dustin Brown, Jonathan Quick, all veteran guys who want to win, and they want to win now. They don't want to hear about rebuilds and all this, and I don't think there's a great appetite in that locker room for a full-on rebuild. While LA management might see that that's probably necessary, I think we're going to hear the word retool quite a bit coming out of them this summer. And I'd love to see them not go out and try to fix things in free agency. I would not be surprised to see them, at least on some level, make an attempt to kind of fix things through free agency. And I'm not talking about like last summer with Kovalchuk. I don't think there'll be a big splash, but I think 2 middling free agents may end up going to LA. I don't know where they're going to find the cap money either before anybody asks me. Something tells me LA is going to have something up their sleeve this summer. Now on the road, San Jose's 20-14-3, which is better than what it was. At home, LA's 13-20-3, which is right about where it's been all year. The month of March has been different between these teams. San Jose's been 6-3, LA's been 2-6. On the scoring side of things, Timo Meier, 6 goals and 2 assists for San Jose. Nyquist, 3 goals and 2 assists in the last 10 games. Hurdle, 3 goals, 4 assists. Joe Thornton, 3 goals, 5 assists. If I had told you before this season Thornton would outproduce Kovalchuk, people would have said I'm unsubscribing. This guy's insane. Sorensen, 5 goals, 2 assists. Burns, 5 assists. And Vlasic with a goal and 6 assists for San Jose. On the LA side, Kopitar, 3 goals, 4 assists. Dustin Brown, 6 goals, 2 assists. Kempe with 2 goals, 2 assists. Leipzig, 3 goals, 2 assists. Kovalchuk with a goal and 2 assists. Doughty with 8 assists in their last 10 games. And Forbert with 2 assists. On the goaltending side, it's going to be Jones. I would be very surprised if it's Dell. Jones is 5-3 in their last 10 with a .903 save percentage. Dell is 1-1 with an .873 save percentage. On the LA side of things, Jonathan Quick's 2-5-1 in their last 10 with an .874 save percentage, and Campbell's 0-2 with a .905 save percentage. I would expect Quick. I'd be very surprised if we see Campbell. San Jose's won 2 out of 3 matchups this year. I don't see any reason to think it won't be 3 out of 4. For the Sharks, they're trying to catch Calgary. They're going to need some help from Ottawa with that tomorrow. And as a fan who watched the Canucks against them, I say they're dangerous, but they're beatable. Of the Senators, for San Jose, they've got to take advantage of their dangerous but beatable opponent as well. Not worry as much about what Calgary's doing and just try to get done what they have to get done. I do think that San Jose probably finishes second. Calgary's probably going to end up finishing first, which very few picked that to happen. There's some Flames fans that really thought that was going to happen. There were some fans of other teams as well that said Calgary's going to be excellent this year. I thought they were going to be good, but I thought they'd barely miss the playoffs. That's not happening. They've clinched, so that's so much for that. That's why predictions, once October rolls around, you just crumple them up, throw them in a corner. Next up, Columbus. These guys, Blue Jackets. This jersey was in storage for a while, so I understand I haven't worn it in a while. I thought I'd throw it on. And I only have 2 Columbus hats, which is upsetting. I went through all my hats and cataloged them, and I'm like, oh, I've only got 2 Columbus. I've got multiple hats of every other team. A lot of some teams. People can guess. Columbus, the team I only have 2 hats of, is in against the Edmonton Oilers, who I have, I think, 5 hats of. They're 40-29-4 are Columbus, whereas the Oilers are 32-34-7. And it is a rough time for the Oilers right now. I think of all of the seasons Connor McDavid's played, this has to be the most disappointing. Even more so than last season. Because this year felt like it should be different. It should be a bounce back, and it wasn't. On the road, Columbus is 20-13-2. At home, Edmonton is 16-17-2. And for Columbus, they have to stay with what they were doing in Calgary. It likely gets them a win here, even though they lost the game in Calgary. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. In the month of March, Columbus is 4-5-1, whereas the Oilers are 5-4. So Columbus needs to even that record. While they're not really in mortal danger at this point, if they lost in regulation and Montreal won, that would change the narrative pretty darn quick. Scoring over their last 10, Panarin has 5 assists. Atkinson, 3 goals, 2 assists. Duchesne, 2 goals and 1 assist for him. Jenner, 4 goals, 1 assist. Nash with 2 assists. Werenski, 2 goals, 6 assists. And Savard, 1 goal, 2 assists. I did see a Columbus fan talking about Duchesne in the comments here, saying that Duchesne's been doing a lot of other things. He's not getting the points and the goals, but doing a lot of other things. I was saying that last year about Rick Nash for Boston. It in the end, you need the goals and the points. While it was great that Rick Nash was doing physical things out there and he was doing some really nice defensive things, at the end of the day, he was brought in to score, and he didn't score enough, and Boston was out in the second round. So we'll see what happens there. On the Edmonton side of things, Draisaitl, 4 goals, 10 assists over their last 10 games. McDavid, 4 goals, 15 assists. So he's making a dent in the Kucherov lead, but it's such a huge lead. It's a huge lead. Cassian, 5 goals and an assist. Chason, 3 goals, 2 assists. Gagne, 2 goals and 3 assists. Clefbaum, a goal and 4 assists. And Darnell Nurse with a goal and 3 assists in their last 10 games. On the goaltending side of things, I expect Bobrovsky. I expect him in almost every game because Tortorella's going to try to make sure they get in there. Might be his job. Could be. He's 4-4 is Bobrovsky over their last 10 with a .921 save percentage. Korpisalo's 0-1-1, but he's got a .941 save percentage over that same period. On the Edmonton side, Koskinen 6-3 with a .912 save percentage. He will be the starter. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but when asked after the game, Ken Hitchcock said, "Oh yeah, no, he's the starter." He got pulled out. Stolarz went in the last game just to stop the bleeding. Stolarz is 0-1 over their last 10 with an .889 save percentage. Edmonton did win this matchup this year, and we'll see if Edmonton wins the game in Edmonton. They won the game in Columbus. San Jose's won 2 out of 3 against LA. Tampa's won both against Carolina. Just realized I didn't announce that part for those ones. But there you go. So I'm just going to go ahead and change boards. No rest for the weary. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be very tired by the end of the year. One thing about having games in hand this late, you play a really bad schedule down the stretch. And Winnipeg is playing a really rough schedule down the stretch going into the playoffs. Coming out of this game tonight against Anaheim, tomorrow they get to go into Vegas. So this is a completely different team than Anaheim. Clearly, Vegas can score. They can score in bunches. Their goaltending, just as solid as Anaheim's. And their defense, pretty darn solid. Winnipeg's 44-25-4 now. The Vegas Golden Knights are 41-27-5. And it feels like Winnipeg's on a good run. So tomorrow night's an excellent chance to measure themselves against the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the one glaring thing about Vegas right now is Malcolm Subban may very well be asked to start again tomorrow. And if he is, that could be a problem for Vegas because even though Winnipeg likely starts Brossoit, I would favor Winnipeg in that matchup. Now, on the road, Winnipeg is 20-16 at home. The Vegas Golden Knights are 22-10-5. Excellent at home. In this month of March, Winnipeg's now 7-3. Vegas is 7-1. So Winnipeg has got it together. They've started winning some games again. But Vegas is an excellent test because they've won 7 out of 8 this month. Scoring over their last 10. Laine with 6 assists. Scheifele, 4 goals, 7 assists. Connor, 5 goals, 3 assists. Ehlers, 3 goals, 4 assists. Kopp, 3 goals, 3 assists. Trouba, 2 goals, 6 assists. Myers with 2 goals and 4 assists to round out the scoring for Winnipeg. On the Vegas side of things, Marchessault, 4 goals, 7 assists. Karlsson, 2 goals, 7 assists. It kind of flies under the radar that William Karlsson's play has been excellent over the last few weeks. Smith, 5 goals, 8 assists. Stastny, 3 goals, 7 assists. Tuck, 3 goals, 3 assists. Schmidt, 2 goals, 5 assists. And Miller with a goal and 3 assists. Now, the goaltenders, as I said, it'll likely be Brossoit. Hellebuck played tonight. He did get a shutout. Paul Maurice could come back with him again tomorrow. He's 4-2 now in his last 10 with a .925 save percentage. Brossoit in their last 10 is 3-1 with a .919 save percentage, so both goalies pretty good. On the Vegas side of things, Subban's 3-1 over their last 10 with an .876 save percentage. Like I say, still listed as the backup. Fleury still listed as day-to-day with an injury that they're not talking a whole lot about, which is mildly concerning for Vegas, but again, they're not really in any position where they have to worry about falling down against Arizona. Arizona's far enough back now that that's not a concern. They're so far back of both San Jose and Calgary that they're really not going to move up. So if they have to play Subban for a while and Fleury gets the unintentional rest through an injury, it kind of feels like last year. I think part of what got Vegas to where they got last year was that Fleury was well rested for the playoffs. Get your conspiracy hats on, boys and girls. Winnipeg's won both matchups between themselves and Vegas this year. But yeah, Vegas is looking pretty darn solid. And I don't understand why people want to turn around and go, well, that's because the NHL wants it that way. No. Because this team was terrible through the first 20 games. Nate Schmidt comes back. They get better. Then they added Mark Stone. And suddenly everything's fantastic. So unless somebody can show me that the NHL made them trade Stone to Vegas, and made sure they didn't give up anything off the current roster, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Next up, Arizona. Coyotes are in against Florida. And if anybody wants to say it's collusion, that'd be really funny because you've got 30 other GMs that would not be very happy with the idea that one was being favored. All right, 36, 31, and 6 is the record for the Arizona Coyotes, and if they get in two, that'll add to the tinfoil hats. But they've worked really hard to get here. They're in against Florida tomorrow night. Florida's 32, 29, and 12, and Arizona wants to get back on track after the loss against the Tampa Bay Lightning, a loss which everybody suffers. On the road, Arizona's 18, 16, and 2 at home. Florida's 18, 12, and 6. The month of March, Arizona's 5, 3, and 1. Florida is 4, 4, and 2. So overall, the numbers all favor Arizona. That being said, good home record for Florida, and they're a team that has shown a lot of fight lately. It can be interesting to see what they do with their goaltending tomorrow, because, again, since I'm recording the night before, I have no idea what's going to happen. But, yeah, there's some interesting storylines with these teams. On the Arizona side, Vinny Hinostroza, 5 goals, 4 assists over their last 10 games. At some point in time, I have to sit down and come up with, because it's funny, how many trades we can look at over the last year and a half and say Team A ripped off Team B, but the team that got ripped off also ripped another team off. So there's a chain that I can do there, and I'm gonna come up with a chain at some point, some kind of a madness board. And Hinostroza is going to be on it. Panik, 2 goals, 6 assists. Keller, 2 goals, 4 assists. Galchenyuk with 3 goals. Grabner, 3 goals, 1 assist. Goligoski with 3 assists. Chychrun, a goal and 4 assists to round things out for Arizona. On the Florida side, underrated Barkov, 5 goals, 13 assists, because everybody says he's underrated. Huberdeau, 5 goals, 9 assists. I don't underrate him, so I'm not sure. Last year I was saying he should have got the Selke, so... Hoffman, 3 goals, 4 assists. Borgstrom, 3 goals, 3 assists. Dryden Hunt, 2 goals, 2 assists. Yandel with 6 assists. Understand he's a funny guy. Weegar with 2 goals and 2 assists to round things out for Florida. Goaltending's where it gets interesting. Kemper will make the start. He's 6, 3, and 1 with a .936 save percentage over their last 10. Pickard, no record, and an .833 save percentage. Kemper's the guy. If they're going to get in the playoffs, it's going to be on his back. As for Florida... Over their last 10, Luongo's 0-2 and 1 with an .898 save percentage. Montembeault is 4-2 and 1 with a .908, .903 save percentage. When are they going to put in Reimer? Reimer's overall record's 13, 11, and 5 with a .902 save percentage. At some point, he's going to play, isn't he? And at some point, doesn't Luongo get another start? Or are they going to keep going to Montembeault? Arizona did win this meeting in Arizona. Can they win the one in Florida? The answer I would give that is they can. Whether they will or they won't, that's what we find out tomorrow night. This could be a more fun game, though, than people realize. Arizona's got an excellent defense. Florida's got an excellent offense. It should make for an interesting mix. That being said, moving along. Detroit, 26, 37, and 10. The Detroit Red Wings in against the 38, 27, and 8 St. Louis Blues. So Detroit's miserable season's close to ending. Larkin's been very quiet. And I haven't said anything about it, not because I'm hiding it, but because I always think it's interesting who else starts scoring when your head guy is down. But yeah, it's noticeable. Detroit on the road, they're 12, 19, and 5 at home. St. Louis is 18, 15, and 2. In the month of March, Detroit is 3, 5, and 1, whereas St. Louis is 4, 4, and 2. So St. Louis has only won 4 out of 10 in the month of March. They want to turn that around heading into the playoffs. Now, this is an old Norris Division matchup. Detroit was in the Western Conference in the old NHL. In what was the Norris Division, so was St. Louis. So when I see them against each other, warm feelings are brought up in my heart. Scoring over their last 10 games, Athanasiou, 6 goals and an assist. Really picked up the goal scoring after I pointed out he was getting all kinds of assists and no goals. Vanek, 2 goals, 3 assists. Nielsen, a goal and 2 assists. Rose got a point in his first game last time out. An assist. Mantha, 2 goals and an assist. Hronik, 3 assists. And Danny DeKeyser, a goal and 3 assists. If you're a Detroit fan, of course, Jacob De La Rose taken out of the lineup due to a heart irregularity. And it looks like Trevor Daley's season is over, so for Detroit it just piles on. On the St. Louis side of things, Braden Shen, 3 goals, 4 assists. Tarasenko, this includes before he got injured, a goal and 3 assists in the last 10 games he's played. Maroon, 4 goals and 3 assists. What a Maroon. Thomas, 2 goals and 6 assists. Perron, 5 goals, 4 assists in the last 10 games he's played. Dunn with 3 goals, 3 assists, and Parayko with 6 assists. I have a confirmed goaltender in this game. Detroit will start Bernier. So on the heels of Jimmy Howard signing his extension, which I didn't report on today, that'll probably be in a news video in the morning. Howard's 2-4 with an .893 save percentage over their last 10. Bernier's 1-2-1 with a .923 save percentage over that same period. I would keep the tandem together, I guess, if you're going to keep Howard for another year. Again, I'll talk about it tomorrow. On the St. Louis side of things, I expect Binnington. He's 3-2 with a .905 save percentage. It could be Allen. Allen's 1-2-2 over their last 10 with a .920 save percentage. His numbers are better than Binnington's, but they win for Binnington. Detroit did win this matchup in Detroit, so St. Louis will be trying to even up the season series against the Detroit Red Wings and make sure they keep daylight between themselves and the Dallas Stars, who are playing Colorado tomorrow night. So, as a Dallas fan, I will definitely be watching what St. Louis does and also what Dallas does. And, you know, we could see a dramatic shift in things tomorrow night or may just shift in the other direction. Next up, Pittsburgh in against Nashville. This is their first meeting this year. So they're going to meet again in Pittsburgh. For the Penguins at 39-24-11, it feels like they're in pretty good form, and yet the results have kind of sort of started going sideways on them. And yet the scoring's good. Their numbers are good, but the wins compared to the losses are middling. At 6-2-3 this month, they've won 6 and they've lost 5. Now, only 2 of those in regulation, but again, it's kind of odd. Nashville's 42-27-5, and it feels like Nashville, much like Winnipeg, that they're coming out of this haze they've been in. Pittsburgh's 18-11-8 on the road. Nashville's 23-13-1 at home. In the month of March, as I said, Pittsburgh's 6-2-3, whereas Nashville's 5-3. So Nashville, like I said, starting to come out of that. That 3-0 win against Toronto, that felt like kind of a statement game for them. Now, over their last 10 games, Crosby, 5 goals, 9 assists for Pittsburgh. Gensel, 8 goals, 6 assists. Kessel, 3 goals, 6 assists. Hornquist with a goal and 3 assists. Bjugstad, 3 goals and an assist. Schultz with 3 assists. And Pettersson with 3 assists. Letang, of course, had a goal in his return. We'll see how he does tomorrow. Johansson with 7 assists for Nashville. Arvidsson, 5 goals, 3 assists. Bonino, a goal and 3 assists. Smith, 3 goals, 3 assists. Brian Boyle with 3 goals. Ellis with 5 assists. And PK Subban, 2 goals, 2 assists for the Nashville Predators. Goaltenders? Glad you asked. I expect Matt Murray. He's 5-2-2 in their last 10 with a .937 save percentage. Casey DeSmith is 1-0-0 with a .974 save percentage. On the Nashville side, I expect Rinne here. Rinne against Pittsburgh in Nashville, pretty good. In Pittsburgh, I would play Saros. Rinne's 4-2 over their last 10 with a .917 save percentage. Saros is 2-2 with a .929 save percentage. And as I said, this is their first meeting. It is a rematch of the 2017 Stanley Cup Final. Highly unlikely that we see these two in the Stanley Cup Final this year. Between the two, I would say Pittsburgh's the most likely to get there, only because Pittsburgh does tend to overachieve in the playoffs. Read into that what you will. But for Nashville, I have some concerns with this lineup. The good news is that, you know, Simmons gets on the board with a goal in the last game, and it feels like they're pulling themselves out of that funk they've been in. So we'll see, but this should be a fun game tomorrow. There's a lot of hockey on. It's going to be a pain. There's going to be so many games on at the same time that I'm trying to flip between and trying to keep track of, but I'm going to do my best. You have my word. Philly. The Flyers 35-30-8 in against the 32-30-10 Chicago Blackhawks. Now this is where things get dicey if you're a Flyers fan, because the Flyers likely out of it in the East. If they were in the West, they'd be right in the thick of things. They'd have 78 points. They would be tied with the Arizona Coyotes for that last playoff spot. Chicago, they're sitting with 74 points. They're 4 points out. If you're Philly, you kind of want to go in and win this game. A, to put yourself potentially closer to a playoff spot yourself, and second, to stick it to a team that you probably look at in the standings and go, man, these guys don't belong there if we can't get there. On the road, Philly 17-15-4. At home, Chicago 16-13-7. The month of March, Philly's 5-4, Chicago's 5-2-1. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I throw this in when these teams meet each other. These are two teams that when I was a kid, for whatever reason, I would mix one up with the other. And I didn't have good or bad feelings towards either team when I was a little kid and I started watching hockey. I know that's kind of a weird thing to throw in there, but for whatever reason, for me, Philly and Chicago, maybe it's because they were both kind of big bruising teams at the time. I don't know. It was weird. Anyways, I know the difference now. And the difference is that Chicago's won some Stanley Cups since then, and Philadelphia has been to some Stanley Cup finals. Now, the Philadelphia Flyers currently, over their last 10 games, Couturier, 5 goals, 6 assists. Giroux, 1 goal, 11 assists. Raffl with a goal and 3 assists. Hartman, who was a Chicago Blackhawk, 1 goal, 2 assists. Lawton, 4 goals, 2 assists. Gostisbehere, a goal and 6 assists. And Haig with 3 assists. So watch Ryan Hartman and see if he does well against Chicago tomorrow night because they traded him. On the Chicago side, Jonathan Toews, 3 goals, 6 assists. Kane, 2 goals, 6 assists in his last 10 games. DeBrincat, 4 goals, 5 assists. Saad with 2 goals, 2 assists. Kunitz, 2 goals, 2 assists as well. Keith, 2 goals and 5 assists. And Cuckoo with 3 assists to round things out for Chicago. Goaltenders, Carter Hart has been confirmed. So we will continue to see this kid in big games. And this is a big game for Chicago. If they can win this and they can get 2 points closer, we're going to have ourselves quite a conversation about whether or not Chicago can actually get in. Carter Hart is 1-2 in their last 10 with a .935 save percentage. Elliott, 3-2-1 over that same period with an .894 save percentage. On the Chicago side, no confirmation, which means it's going to be Crawford. He's 6-1-1 with a .918 save percentage. Delia had a game in there. He had a loss, .855 save percentage. I can't see anybody but Crawford starting this game. I can't see it. Philadelphia did win this matchup in Philly, so this is the second and final matchup of the year. I would be very surprised if Chicago doesn't find some way to get 2 points, whether that's in regulation or overtime. No idea. But at the same time, like I said, Philly may very well be motivated by the fact that why are these guys in a race and we're not? Let's go out and take them out of the race, take the crowd out of it early, watch those first few minutes of the game. All right, last game, last but not least, Ottawa, 25-42-6. They're in against the 45-21-7 Calgary Flames. The Flames will be very happy to get a tired, probably somewhat dejected and angry Ottawa Senators team in the Battle of the Kachucks. So will Brady and Matt fight tomorrow or not? That's the question. The answer is no, probably not. I can't see it. They've kind of promised their mom they won't. Now on the road, Ottawa's now 9-26-2. At home, Calgary's 24-7-5. In the month of March, Ottawa's 3-5-1. Calgary's 4-5. So both teams below 500. The Flames need to get back there. If they can win tomorrow night, and if San Jose is unable to close out the deal in LA, Calgary's pretty darn close to clinching the division. And then we can get into that discussion. Anyways, if you look at the scoring over the last 10, Pajot now has 2 goals and 3 assists. He was kind of punchy tonight. Wanted to fight and didn't get a taker that I saw. Tierney, 3 goals, 3 assists. Zach Smith with 2 goals, 4 assists. Lindbergh with 4 goals. Duclair with 3 goals, 3 assists. Harper with 3 assists. And DeMello with 5 assists in his last 10 games. On the Calgary side, Johnny Gaudreau, 5 goals, 7 assists. Tkachuk, 8 goals, 6 assists. Monahan should be back tomorrow night, so that should help Calgary as well. Backlund, 2 goals, 5 assists. Zarnik with 3 assists. Ryan with 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 10 games. Giordano, a goal and 8 assists. And Hanifin with 2 assists. Keep waiting for Noah Hanifin to take that next step. It just hasn't quite happened yet. Goaltending side of things. Nilsson's numbers, I'm suspicious that these weren't updated. Everything else seems to have been updated. Nilsson shows us 3-2 in their last 10 with a .925 save percentage. And I do make that face because he allowed a lot of goals tonight, so I can't see him having a record that good and numbers that high. Anderson's 0-4-1 with an 890 save percentage. He likely starts tomorrow anyway, so the Nelson thing doesn't really matter. On the Calgary side, Riddick, 5-2 in their last 10 with a 906 save percentage. I expect him here because Smith is 0-3 with an 884 save percentage. But because it's Ottawa, do you start Smith and give Riddick the night off? That's the question. Calgary did win this matchup in Ottawa. Now they're trying to make it 2 out of 2 by winning at home, and we'll see what they do. So for Ottawa, they're just playing out the string. They did put a scare into Vancouver tonight, ultimately came out with the loss in regulation. And again, they may go into Calgary tomorrow night tired, and we'll see how that turns out for them. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, we're getting very close to the playoffs. We're only a few weeks away, and then off we go. I believe April 10th is when opening night is for the NHL playoffs, and I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, because that's just it's what you're supposed to, it's what people are supposed to do on YouTube. It's how we grow. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.